Hi, I'm Lisa Raynes from Pride Road, the architectural practice franchise business, and I'm joined by Sumita. Hi, Sumita. Thanks for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, so I'm very pleased that Lisa's invited me to this event. It's really exciting to be with you all. So I wanted to say that I work very flexibly, so I was very pleased to see Lisa's concept as well. I do 6 different things, so I work as an architect, I teach, I write books, I set up a charity that has worked internationally and in the UK. I also do some bits and pieces for the RIBA, and I'm a trustee of 2 other charities, architecture charities. And I'm also a non-executive director of Moorfields Eye Hospital Foundation Trust, where I chair the People and Culture Committee, and I sit on the Capital Investment Scrutiny Committee and Quality and Safety Committees. And I'm also part of the Sustainable Development Group at the Public Health England. So there's a very sort of strong health and sustainability focus in what I do.
Pride Road has a strong focus on women and also parent and carer architects. What do you think practices, large and small, can do to provide for a better work-life balance and better mental health in our sector?
Yeah, so I used to be chair of Women in Architecture, and I kind of reorganized it. It used to be called Women Architects Group, by the way, before when I joined, which stands for WAG. So I changed the name to Women in Architecture, and I chaired it, and I made it much more of a focus group geared towards employment and equal opportunities. So we are what we're doing is we've been looking at this for a long time. So when I was chairing the group, it was that we had 8% women. Yeah. And right now we have 28% women, which means that in sort of about 20 years it's gone up by 1%, which isn't good enough. And during the second year of my chairmanship, we produced this report, which is called Why Women Leave Architecture, which you can download offline for free. But one of the things that pointed to the fact that such few women were joining architecture, or rather they were dropping out of architecture during studies, was because of this work-life balance. And women who had children, small children, they just couldn't manage it. I think one of the things is that, with Pride Road, what you've achieved looks like you've managed to achieve giving women work and sharing work, and as well as having work-life balance. I remember, Lisa, you said yesterday, was it yesterday, your son's birthday? And it was great. I just thought that's really good. You can say that and go off and do a family thing. And I watched the video as well of this other lady that's part of the scheme. And it seems that you do offer a very open and flexible scheme for women. So I think bigger and larger practices maybe need to kind of take that on. And now with COVID, we've realized we can work very flexibly. We don't need to be at the desk all the time. And also, thirdly, I would like to add is that I'm a trustee of the Architects Benevolent Society, and mental stress is, a big issue. Well-being is a big issue. So if architects need that support, they can always, come to the Architects Benevolent Society, and we'll try and help you.
That's great. So there's certainly a lot of things that you're doing, and it's great to see someone who's actively participating in it. There's a lot of rhetoric in the
yes, absolutely, yeah.
And sort of I was I'm a chartered architect with 20 years experience, and I've been made redundant twice whilst on maternity leave.
Oh no, that's illegal, isn't it?
Yes. But rather than fighting it, I just put my energies into setting up a practice back in 2010, and then by 2012 I found that I'd got a really strong business model that was actually suited the work-life balance.
Yeah.
So by concentrating just on the domestic residential sector, just the kind of low end of the market, we found that we could streamline our numbers. So we knew our conversion rates from sort of marketing to inquiries to a free initial consultation, and then a free initial consultation into a workshop, which is a paid piece of work, and then into projects. Once I'd got a handle on that, I knew that we could turn it into, you know, we have a product, we've got our service is delivered in a sort of in a product, and I can then share it. So I've created systems around it, quite sophisticated systems, lots of really strong lead generation. And what I actually do tend to find, women that people that come and talk to me, their biggest fear is, how do we find clients? And it's confidence as well. And by sort of packaging that up with the numbers and the robustness of the business plan, you know, we've got a very enticing offer, and we operate as a franchise business. So people come and buy a license to operate a franchise within their sort of chosen territory. So from, I think I've kind of digressed a bit, but from the issue of realizing that there was a problem in the industry about this huge fall off of women leaving at various stages, and I chaired Women in Property Northwest back in 2010 or something like that, and the Northwest Solo Practitioners Group sort of around 2012, and then sat on the RIBA National Council between 2015 and 2018. Everyone's talking about it, but not many people are actually doing anything to solve the problem. So it's good to sort of find people who are. Okay, so Sumita, have you got any questions that you'd like to ask of our audience?
Sure. I think, you know, a lot of people leave the RIBA and they're not happy with the RIBA. They never say, oh, we're leaving the RIBA because of this. And then you hear back from them, they say, oh, we left because of this. And we say, oh, we could have changed that. You know, I would have campaigned and helped you to change that. But if they don't tell us what's wrong, why they're not members, we can't do anything. So we need to know what they think should be changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, so type in your questions now if you've got an agenda item that you want Sumita to talk about.
Let's see. I'm trying to look at the chat.
Yes.
See. Okay. Yeah. All right. So no questions.
No questions. So in the meantime, just coming back to sort of an issue that does tend to sort of challenge people when they want to set up on their own or get that work-life balance. You know, confidence is usually a limiting factor. So have you got any tips for sort of being more confident in the workplace?
I think with confidence is you have to put yourself out there. So when I became a member of the board at this NHS Foundation Trust, I'd never had experience in chairing a committee. I didn't have board experience. There were several things I didn't know. But, you know, you just have to put yourself out there and then say, I'm going to find out all I can about this and then do it. I think a lot of women sort of don't do that. And I find that this is a difference between men and women. men will apply for jobs when they haven't had any experience at all, as we have seen in the election of the US president. And so, and the woman who had all that experience didn't win the election.
Mm.
So it is a very strange thing that men feel confident enough to do that. And I think we can also look at that in a positive way. I think that's what women need to do, to push themselves out and say, okay, I will do it. It's hard enough for women. It's really hard. So unless you're pushing yourself out there, saying like talking about ambitions, and stop being so modest, just go for it.
Mm. So we've had a comment from Catalina, and she says, so in response to how can the RIBA help more, she said, I think more support for women in the profession would help. Seminars, workshops on how to deal with specific issues like dealing with sexism, negotiating salaries and challenging the pay gap.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you, Catalina. That's one of the things I want to do. And if you go to my website, you will see that I have said that all practices should embrace equal opportunity. Now, it's very important because once they say that they have an equal opportunity policy, and then they're saying that they're not, there's pay gap issues there or sexism, you can challenge them. So if they haven't got it up there, then it's more difficult. I know you can challenge them anyway, because this day and age, you shouldn't be having to deal with this sort of stuff. But I think the thing is, and also document stuff. A lot of people forget all the stuff that's happening to them. So yesterday I was watching something about, sex discrimination. And a lot of women were terrified to actually talk openly about it because they felt there'd be recrimination against them. So I think to stop feeling that and also get other women with you. So in this particular case I watched, there were 3 women supporting each other, and that's how they won their case. So try and form groups, because women need each other. You know how men have their sort of, what do you call it? The boys club. Yeah, boys club. Yeah. Let's have some women's clubs.
Absolutely. So this probably takes us nicely on to sort of what are the principles at the heart of your RIBA campaign to be president?
Okay. So the first thing we said was that diversity, which is not just diversity of thoughts and work practices, but diversity of people. And that kind of diversity collaborating together gives you real innovation. So one of the reasons why architecture is lagging behind other sectors, although it's a creative sector, is because we don't have this diversity. So if you look at like, say, the music industry, which borrows from different places. You look at fashion industry that borrows ideas from different places. You don't have that. Architecture is sort of a bit slow moving thing. So you create a building and that's it. So it doesn't seem to have changed in the 90s, 50s, whatever. Fashion has changed, music has changed, but architecture has remained the same. There's this idea of this monumental, iconic building that needs to be used. So I think we need to use more of that. And the other idea behind is that I have the experience. So I've been on a board, I've been writing, teaching, setting up charities. I have a very rounded experience that I bring, because you just got 2 years to make a difference. So you need to hit the ground running. You just haven't got time to learn the ropes. So I bring that experience. And what I want to do as a woman leader is to have empathetic leadership. I want to have effective communication. I think women are quite good at that. You go on the RIBA website, you can't find anything really. So I want to improve things like that. I want to use online digital platforms to communicate with members, whether they're London, regions, or international. I don't think there's enough international collaboration between members, and that's a real sad thing. And we need participative decision making as well. So is another thing, you know, we don't have enough engagement between members. So I'm talking of things like an online digital council chamber where, you know, members can meet councillors, because we need to know what the problems are, why people are leaving the RIBA, or why they're unhappy with the RIBA. We need to really know that. So those are the, I don't know if that answers your question in a rambling way, but it is all there on my website. So,
what's your website? Come up. So that's www.ecologicarchitects.com. That's ECOLOGIC architects.com.
Thank you.
Awesome. So if you had just one agenda item that you tried to get through the RIBA, a single agenda item, what would it be?
I don't want to be a single ticket person, because you know, there are several ways of attacking the same problem. And I think I'd like to have this sort of multi-pronged approach, if you can call it. You know, if you like, say, for example, you know, if you say you go to the GP, he or she gives you a headache pill every time, despite having different problems, that's not going to work. You know, if you've broken your leg, you need a plaster. If you've got some other stuff going on, you don't need a headache pills for everything. So I don't want to have a single ticket thing. But I think this idea of innovation coming from diversity and collaboration, I think is a good one to remember, because we really need that in architecture.
Geographic origin of architectural qualification and migration status influence the experience of ethnic minority female architects and female migrant architects from the Commonwealth living and working in the UK. The RIBA and ARB do not directly recognise any qualifications outside of the UK and EU. Is there anything that we can do or you could do to address the issue within the RIBA to help that, change that?
Okay, so that's a good question, because I came from India. I didn't study my part 1 and 2 in the UK. I did those in India, but I did them in a school that was RIBA validated. So all I had to do was sort of get them validated here in the UK.
Was that an easy process to get it validated in the UK?
Yeah. So if you've done your education in an RIBA validated school abroad, you can bring your portfolio, and you know, it is a bit expensive now. I think mine was £70 or something, but these days I think it's more than £1,000. I don't know. It's a horrific amount. So this is still possible to do that. The problem is that for instance, in India, there's not a single school of architecture that is RIBA validated anymore. There used to be, I think, there used to be a 5 or 6. There isn't a single school in, you know, in Nigeria. I mean, I can just give a list. You'll find a list of validated schools on the RIBA website. So if you have a look, and if you've done a course that is already validated, all you have to do is bring your portfolio and show it to someone at the ARB. So that is the thing, you know. So what I would like to do, again, it's mentioned in my manifesto, is to diversify education. So that actually, at the moment, the validation criteria are not diverse enough to accommodate different needs. You know, for example, we talk about BME and ethnicity and all that. I mean, what doesn't make any sense in India, you know? It doesn't make any sense anywhere. It is very specifically British, or you could say US, for example. But, you know, it won't make sense outside the US or UK, or, you know, just outside the sort of white Western nations. So things like that, we need to be aware of these cultural issues and then, you know, take that into account. So the validation criteria has to be changed. Architectural education has to be diversified. And also, we just want to expand the numbers of school that the RIBA is doing it, because to have, the RIBA is an international brand, and to have the RIBA after your name, it's very good, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Please tell us about this this franchise that you've set up, and how hard was it, and how long did it take, and what support you've had from the RIBA?
What support have I had from the RIBA? Not very much. Yeah, so I went on my own in 2010. I had the idea about the franchise in 2012, and then it took me 4 years to actually go through the process and realise that this kind of franchising was the best solution, was the right solution, I think, for me. And then launched it in 2016. So when you sort of, in order to launch a franchise, you need to have an operations manual, a prospectus, a website, branding, collateral, and a franchise agreement with the solicitor. It's like buying a house. So there's quite when people want to come and join us, there's a process of due diligence. We've got to see if they're a good fit for us, but also if we're a good fit for them. We work with them to develop a business plan, sort of look at cash flow forecasts, what they want to achieve and how we're going to do it. And that kind of joining process for a potential franchisee actually, can take anything from 2 months to 2 years, depending on where they're up to. So sort of on the flip side, sort of I've had to create all of those kind of systems and support and team, and sort of learn a lot of things very quickly. It's quite niche franchising, so I've kind of like, sort of, I'm a member of EWIF, which is encouraging women into franchising, because again, we start to see the other side of another industry, and just taking advice from lots of people. It's quite good, but yeah, no, it's probably cost me quite a bit to set everything up, in time as well as money.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but we've got a really sophisticated system of processing information, which just helps manage projects and sort of manage clients, and actually it goes back to the heart of, we're then able to deliver our best service, which is architecture, because we're not, all the kind of business stuff we've dealt with, we know what we're doing, we're on top of it, it's not guesswork. So all the pain of that's gone, so we can just concentrate on on design and helping clients.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just about and this actually rings quite true with me as well. So Catalina again says, I feel like there's a culture of celebrating overtime work. Our practice leaders tend to tell us all the time that they work till 1 or 2 in the morning, which it makes everyone guilty. And is there a way that the RIBA could promote a healthier way of working?
Absolutely. So what I think we could do is we need to stop this sort of, it's a very macho kind of world, where there's this presenteeism, as it used to be called.
Mm-hmm.
So you arrive early and you stay for as long as you can, and then you're constantly saying, I'm so busy, and all that sort of thing. So actually, it's funny, because after with the COVID lockdown and you're working from home, people have discovered that you're actually, there was a survey done by Stanford School, and they discovered that people are actually 20% more efficient
Mm.
when they're working remotely. Obviously, you know, there are times you need to go into the office and things like that, but they're actually more efficient working in this way, flexibly. And it wasn't like, okay, that person sitting at home, they're just home educating their kids. And this was an experiment done before the COVID pandemic, which is very interesting.
Mm.
So I think this idea might just go out the window, you know, with the pandemic. People have realized you can work from home. Everybody had to do it. Even the Prime Minister had to do it.
Mm.
So this idea, this might be one of the good things that's come out of the pandemic. And obviously, you know, I said before that mental health stress is a big thing. And I am a trustee of the Architects Benevolent Society. If we can offer any help to any architects, we'd like to do that. But basically what we're saying is try and have a work-life balance, and it's achievable. Insist your you know, office doesn't give you all this you know, stuff that, you know, we're so busy, because really nobody's that busy.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Sumita, for joining us today. And
you.
just good luck with the.
Thank you very much.
I hope you enjoy the process.
It is very hard. If I get elected, I'll be the first minority ethnic woman president who has actually completed their part 1 and part 2 outside the UK. So it's quite a historic occasion, but I feel that, you know, I do have a good chance. You know, there's all the social movements going on at the moment. And I think you need to really kind of catch that spirit and say, okay, let's move on. Let's change things. And that's what I've called my campaign, Change for Architects.
Fantastic. So we've just had a few messages coming through saying, thank you, Sumita. You're a great inspiration.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much, everyone. Catalina, Sarjeet, and Trina Lavi, and then there is Srinita. Thank you so much.
Okay, right. I'll say thanks everyone for joining, and good luck. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.